Hello, my name's Ian. I'm going to take you through the introduction to Encanvas. This fundamentals course is intended for complete beginners, and in it we're going to talk about what Encanvas is for, what its purpose is, how to use it, and the architecture itself. How is it made? One of my favourite quotes from Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, is this one, and it's basically saying new things are very difficult for people to grasp. They're very difficult for people to recognize and be valuable. We actually have this up on our boardroom at Encanvas, and it's very true. That's been our experience when we started this, doing something completely new in the early 2000s. Really, people just couldn't get their head around this. This is one of the reasons we have a thing called a canvas rather than if you like, an internet document, because trying to comprehend technology that's so pervasive, it's so big, it's difficult for people to grasp. Lots of people talk about digital transformation, but what actually is it? We would say it's really about two fundamentals of business: to maximize your customer value and to minimize your operating costs. How that's achieved is by leveraging technology, harnessing new ways of doing things, understanding how to maximize the relationship with your customer and to automate the processes that exist in your business to deliver your customer value. Digital transformation has become key to your business success. At any point in time, leaders of a business will be thinking about selling their business or growing their business. If you want to maximize the valuation of your business, then growth is essential. And to make that growth happen, experts believe you can do one of three things. You can become customer intimate and get very close to your customers and deliver everything that they want. You could achieve product excellence and have the best possible product on the market. Or you could be operationally excellent and just be really good at delivering the customer value your customers are looking for. Whichever one of those strategies you wish to adopt, it's important that you have technology to automate the processes to fuel that growth, and that you have data that's useful, that helps you to make decisions that are going to drive that strategy. I want to take a moment just to touch on the difference that technology can make for digital transformation, because really it is game changing. I mean, the first thing is it helps you to define your customer value by actually delivering services that are meaningful to customers, because you can understand what the customers are looking for through the data that you're capturing. If you can capture all of that data, it powers your economic engine because it makes it easier for you to translate your customer value into business products and services that your customers want. It's doing that because it's automating the services that you need and removing many of the manual tasks in the back office. So your people are spending their time in front of customers. It requires technology to innovate, though, to do that, because technology never can stand still. There are always new requirements from customers, new customer groups to find, new ways to interact with them on the websites that you're using. So to maintain an optimal automation process behind the scenes with your technology, it means the technology's got to adapt, not once every year or 2 years, but every month, every week. And that requires a different perspective of how technology needs to work. How can you follow your business opportunity with technology? Well, it comes down to understanding how your business model can work in your marketplace to deliver the optimal returns from customer value. Here's an example from McKinsey that came out of the blue when I was looking on the internet one day. McKinsey identified that there was a substantial group of customers in the real estate market who were prepared to let a supplier be more intimate with them if they could take care of more of the house buying process and take more of their problems away. They were happier to hand over more information about themselves to make that happen. And technology and a digital platform was recognised as an important way to achieve that and make an economic solution to a business problem. This is an interesting piece of research that was done a couple of years ago. And it's interesting to me because it's effectively saying 4 out of 5 organizations are in the heart of digital transformation. They're going through it, they're at least planning it and working out what it means to them. But if you look at what the subjects are of digital transformation, the top 3 subjects really focus around winning communities, engaging with communities online through your website. And that's really where a lot of the investment is going in to systems and processes. No longer are systems things that happen in the back office. We're seeing now companies like Amazon, their sorts of platforms, allow you to, as customers, gain access to all of your information, process your own information, manage your own logistics, manage your own payment. And this is really where systems are evolving too. It's about working out who is the best stakeholder to update the data. And let's capture that data only once, because if it's being captured manually via a keyboard, via your people in the back office, well, you're just losing economy by doing that. So it makes sense to create an ecosystem of technology that all of your stakeholders can use. And that's really what Encanvas was intended to build. Not a back office system that an administrator completes manually with a keyboard, but an online ecosystem serving all of the stakeholders. And we've got some great examples of doing that. In the digital age, your technology advantage comes from translating your business model into highly automated and efficient business processes that can flex quickly. Every company today needs to be a data-driven business, a business that makes decisions based on facts and evidence it's getting through its data. And this is an interesting slide for me because it actually places an emphasis on what Gartner described as two-speed IT, with over 60% of investments in IT going into keeping the lights on technology, managing the big systems, updating them, upgrading them, paying for expensive and costly changes. But then that's a small part of the enterprise IT landscape that you need to drive your business model. So we're seeing, if you like, most of the money of IT going into not change, not improvement, not growth, but sustaining where you are today. If you come up with a great business model for your marketplace and your business, then achieving that requires a technology solution. So what's holding you back? Well, let's just take a step back through history. Many companies that have invested in enterprise IT have done so to automate their back office processes. But in doing so, they found that it was necessary to use lots of different software products from lots of suppliers. And those software products don't connect to one another. Essentially, they're supporting the departmental needs of a business without actually achieving the business model outcomes the enterprise needs. They're also using different forms of technology architecture, which overcomplicates the integration of data. So most companies still struggle to gain a single version of the truth when it comes to customer data and information surrounding their operational behaviours. Something like 60% of the applications that you need to drive your business model today fall outside of enterprise resource planning, CRM, and HR systems. Encanvas is enterprise software that's been specifically designed to help companies to orchestrate their business models, automate the processes that will create the customer value and maximize the return to shareholders. It fills the chasm that exists between the back office enterprise systems that drive the day-to-day operational activities like finance, HR, and sales, and the actual requirements that your business needs to fulfill its business model. So what impact does Encanvas have on your business? What impact does codeless development have on your business? Well, there are two aspects of it. One is what it means for the IT department. The other is what it means for the people responsible for business improvement and growth. And let's just dig into both of those now. If we look at the IT department, the first thing I'd pick up on is the real-time prototyping. Failing fast, having the ability to get to a point where you can see if an application is going to deliver value for you. If you're investing one business analyst and one workshop with a bit of preparatory scoping work to find out whether technology is worthwhile, the economics of that are so much more sensible than working with big development project teams, where it could be 6 months before you know if you're going to realize a benefit from the application you're producing. Another key area is your headcount. By having one toolkit with one expertise means that instead of 6-10 people around a project table for an IT project, you don't need a scrum anymore because you've got one person scoping, developing, working in consort with the stakeholders, building the application that you need, deploying the application without compromising, I should say, IT deployment, security, support. All of the things that IT does is still protected by the role of the systems architects in Encanvas. So business analysts can do the 40% they need to create a new application, but they don't get involved in the back office IT, and yet they're still able to get their job done and create a new application. Another key area is serving the long tail of applications demand. So often, managers in departments become quasi-IT people because they develop a system on a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint, and all of a sudden that is the way of doing that job. And that means that individual is no longer doing their core activity, but they're supporting and developing applications that we don't want them to be doing. So having a business analyst resource that can do that for them, making these systems proper enterprise IT solutions makes so much sense if you're a department manager that actually wants to use and consume the information, but they don't want to produce it. Another key area here is the ability for IT to unify their IT componentry and build a simpler architecture, reduce the complexity of the data structures in their business, and build a master data mart of their data. All of those things are real priorities for IT at the moment, but achieving that with the current tool set is really hard because you're using different tools for data integration, different tools for data governance, different tools for content. It just becomes very difficult for IT to reduce their headcount, improve their agility. And yet the IT departments I've met don't want a second department doing development operations of the new cool stuff. They want to just develop that capability themselves and keep control of the enterprise architecture for the right reasons to ensure business continuity. And securing data is a key aspect for IT as well today. They are very much the custodians of data. They need to know where it is, who's accessing it, who's using it. You cannot do that if you are allowing users to build their own applications on spreadsheets and then save them locally on hard drives and floppy disks. You know, it's got to be done in a more formal, structured way by maintaining all of the data on an enterprise secure private cloud system. And that's really what we're doing. For the business growth and improvement specialists, there's a new set of benefits we're bringing. The first thing is we remove the barrier to IT by removing the coding and the scripting. So when when you're building an application within Canvas, you actually see what you're building. You're not distracted by essentially what's happening on the screen when you're seeing a script and code. I can tell you, if you're a business person, that is a real off-putter. And if it takes like 2-3 days before you start to see something that closely resembles the system you're looking for, that really slows down the project. So the ability to design applications across the desk, see them deployed on the same day, and understand how it's going to work for you, what the reporting is going to look like, that makes a real difference to break down the barriers between IT and the business. For business people, one of the biggest challenges they get is making sense of the data. And if you can create these data landscapes on the critical topics of your business, your customers, your products, your market opportunities, that makes a real difference to the ability of department managers and leaders to make decisions. The ability to analyze those insights also makes a difference, and that requires context. The challenge with context is it's very difficult to get that from a spreadsheet. So rich data visualizations make a real difference to make sense of data. But also what we're seeing is companies are looking at data now as a life cycle in a process. So they want to see what new customer orders are coming in, what's the progress of existing customer orders, what's happened to the ones we've completed. And understanding and visualizing that life cycle makes a huge difference to everybody in the business, from the chief executive right down to the person that's fulfilling the project. And finally, the ability to act on what matters, to have this sensor-based system that means that you're not making decisions a month in the past. You're able to, it means you're not having to make decisions a month in the past. You can actually look at real-time data and understand what's happening today. That allows you to take action. It allows you to prioritize what you can do to influence those outcomes far faster. And again, that's not just happening at the CEO and the board level, that's happening throughout the business. When we talk about business orchestration, what do we mean? Well, it's really about defining your business model, articulating the processes and data designs that you need. Then it's about designing the applications that your people and your stakeholders will use. Having got a prototype, you'll need to iterate the design and finally deploy the application. As time goes by, there'll be operational needs to scale out the number of users, perhaps more memory, more features. And then it's likely over time you'll need to revisit your requirements to continuously adapt the technology to fit your business model. Encanvas is designed for top-down business automation. What does that mean? A decade ago, companies would buy enterprise platforms like business process management toolkits to deliver the needs of end-user departments. More recently, technologies like robotic process automation have come in and have made it possible to target specific needs for tasks and activities. A small change in the business model can lead to a massive change in the processes that need to be fulfilled, and the way that those processes need to be fulfilled can change too. It means that many of those processes no longer need to exist. That in turn can reduce the amount of manual activities. It makes sense, therefore, to start at the top of the orchestration process to work out what needs to change. After all, what's the point in automating tasks within a department if the department itself doesn't need to exist? Every organization I know has got plenty of data. They never complain they've got too much data, but actually making that data useful is a real challenge, particularly when enterprise systems have been crafted around departmental needs. This diagram is an example of the thought processes that go into Encanvas. When we started this process of developing this toolkit, we recognized that organizations cannot view their data landscapes in the way that they would want to. Looking at things like their customer profile, their product profile, their performance, the things that are happening in their marketplaces. There are so many aspects of each of those topics that requires data, and yet the data is dispersed into silos, into systems, and that makes it really difficult to see. But to bring that information together is even more challenging because the data connections between that data are very rarely there. And so what you find out is that your accounting system doesn't have the right data connector to take data from your CRM system. And that system can't access the project system or the HR system. So building up those holistic views, getting them real time, getting a real understanding of the finger on the pulse, what's happening in my business, status of activities, it is really hard to do. And that's why Encanvas began as a mashup platform, something that could bring that together, that capability together, and present these landscape views of data by creating new, clean, governed data marts for your business. To achieve a top-down approach, you'll need to think about how your business model is designed. You'll need to articulate that design before you can start to automate the processes. A good question to ask is, of the processes that exist in your enterprise, how many of them are fully automated, partially automated, or completely manual? The best way of achieving that analysis is performing an audit. That's the end of the first module. To dig in some more, please move on to Module 2.